Most people think the US economy is controlled by elected leaders, or maybe by billionaires behind closed doors. But what if the truth is far more complicated? What if the real power isn't hidden in smoke-filled rooms, but operating right in front of us, shaping your rent, your paycheck, your groceries, your investments, every single day, without you even noticing? Cut the clips of everyday life. Someone scanning groceries, a person checking bank statements, gas prices flashing on a sign. Today, we pull back the curtain. No myths, no conspiracy theories, just the real forces that quietly steer the world's most powerful economy. And by the end of this video, you won't see the system the same way again. The US economy is massive, trillions of dollars moving through markets, industries, banks, and government institutions. But here's the part most people never think about. Almost none of this movement is random. Behind every interest rate change, every stock market surge, every major corporate decision, and every political budget battle, there are networks of influence, some public, some private, some global, pushing the economy in specific directions. You appear on screen or voiceover continues as visuals show interconnected arrows between institutions, corporations, and government. This video isn't about pointing fingers or inventing villains. It's about revealing the real architecture of power that decides how money flows, who benefits, and who gets left behind. Because the economy, isn't controlled by one group, it's shaped by a collection of institutions that each hold a different piece of the puzzle. And once you know how those pieces fit together, you can finally understand why things happen the way they do. Briefly tease the journey the viewer is about to take if we're going to break down the major forces from the Federal Reserve and Wall Street giants. Two tech corporations, global players, political decision-makers, and the influence networks most people never notice. You'll see how they interact, where their power comes from, and how their decisions ripple through your life. Finish the intro with a dramatic pull, so let's dive in. Cues. If you've ever wondered who actually controls the US economy, the answer is far more revealing than you think. When people talk about who controls the US economy, the Federal Reserve is usually the first name that comes up, and for good reason. The Fed doesn't run the economy, but it shapes the environment every economic decision is made in. By raising or lowering interest rates, it decides how expensive it is to borrow money, which affects everything from your mortgage to business expansion to credit card debt. When the Fed fights inflation, prices across the country shift. When it signals uncertainty, markets react instantly. Yet, the Fed isn't a secret club. It's a public institution, operating with economic data, not political pressure. Still, its influence is enormous. It's the rhythm that banks, corporations, and consumers must move to. Understanding the Fed means understanding the foundation the entire US economy is built on, while the Fed sets the conditions. Wall Street decides how trillions of dollars flow through the economy. Massive investment firms like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street quietly own large stakes in thousands of companies, giving them enormous influence without ever appearing on a ballot. Big banks manage global capital, send money across borders, and determine who gets loans and on what terms. Hedge funds move markets in milliseconds using algorithms and higher-risk strategies that can shake entire sectors. For ordinary people, these decisions are invisible, yet they influence retirement accounts, housing markets, and even job availability. Wall Street doesn't control the economy, but it reacts to incentives faster and more aggressively than any other player. When big institutions move money, the entire financial system adjusts. Their power isn't secreted, simply concentrated on a massive scale. Beyond finance, the corporations we interact with daily exerts extraordinary economic weight. Tech giants like Apple, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft shape how we shop, communicate, create, and even think. Their platforms decide which businesses rise or fall, which information spreads, and how data is used. Meanwhile, multinational companies influence supply chains, wages, and prices across the globe. When a corporation shifts production overseas or raises shipping costs, entire industries feel the shock. Their lobbying power reinforces their dominance, helping them write the rules they operate under. Their decisions ripple outward, affecting consumer behavior, local job markets, and technology adoption. These companies don't need secrecy to hold power. They've influence because they're deeply woven into everyday life. Their scale allows them to shape markets long before government policies or economic forecasts catch up. While corporations and financial institutions move money, political leaders shape the rules of the game. Congress decides how the government taxes, spends, and borrows, choices that affect national growth, social programs, and public debt. The Treasury Department manages the country's finances, stabilizes markets during crises, and works with global institutions that influence the dollar's strength. Regulators, like the SEC, FTC, and Department of Labor, determine what companies can and cannot do, from mergers to workplace safety. Yet politics doesn't operate in a vacuum. Lawmakers face pressure from donors, voters, industries, and party agendas, creating a web of competing incentives. Policies aren't just economic decisions, they're political compromises. The political system doesn't directly control the economy, but it builds the framework everyone else must operate within. In many ways, it's the referee with enormous impact on the final score.